Even if your stride falters within the year, if it doesn't matter, for you can have all the speed into passing the torch of the hands of now the nose who hold for the burning of the world down for the future, but no longer for the calculation. It is the mystery for the first time in the century for the that is never to leave you with this. This is the world for the better without the snakes, and this is far to be at a place where it's because you live. And at last, it could be nothing more than a memory. A simile, the soliloquy, fathom for the atoms of the word, for the lie, but the stereo, for the key to either. I can find a reflecting of the hum of the cooling of the fans, and you can find an architecture of the vanity. And the better living of other industry for the thank you, for the talented, over the emotions to shine through, for the not more, for this to be the photo, over the memory for the kite, for the you can want the lips, this a kiss, this is a long heart, that we can find a premonition for the whispering of what you dreamt of, for the over again, and for the spanning of 2 hours, and then for the will to wake back up and falling back asleep. Stalk the streets, this monster with a grin, empty with the dancing and the light posts in the middle of the night for the wind. Sways my thoughts into the dark clouds above, for they was about the rain, for the can feel the thunder, for the rattling, for my ribcage as it was the holder for me to be. After what it was, unfaithful evening for the what you gave. Me for what divides the future, for the past that's staring into the computer, for the noises even now, for the can't drown the sound, for the inside of my head, for the dead, for the second cold. Motionless to the stare of it, there's a star over there in front of me now, for the messenger, for the you can find a photographs this point has to be in the same direction, for the no one ahead of me. And I didn't want to be crushed just because I wanted to, I had an idea for the ever to be away with it, for the open the door now, for the you can shove me over the ones you call. And I showed you that maybe how you feel, for the feel to be loved, for the meeting with what you needs, and exceeding your expectation, for the giving a new experience. And now you made a mirror and you gave it back to be seemingly perfect, for the ending of a fairy tale, for the now living happily ever after, for the no one only be given the books of this to be the puzzle of the chrome. Complicated as a twist as tire spokes for your bicycle, now the riding over what you were a kid. And here we are to think at the brink of something we can't undo for this type of thing. Do me wrong for the I'm not mad for the not want to be angry or upset. Disappointed for the I'm not that for the empty, for the old tackle boxer to keep the corner, for the wild slowly corroding for the inside. I made you see for the what love. I made you see what love looks like, to touch you gently, for the how to be taken for the care. How to be taken care of, for the what the wild, the sound asleep. Running circles in over 2 hours and over the energy drink. This will walk into the eggshells. It was to walk to wake up at the reaching of the door for the fuse of the running out of line. Ironically, didn't drop the bomb, but it just exploded for the face yet. But this will feel the immediate missing limbs. Watch how easily you took those steps away, for you decide to open over the shoulder to shake it together, for the adding of the insult, for the what the wound is not to fulfill that it was there. Nobody care anyway for the curating of a rock, but the poetry is just for the polite, for the autopsy, for the writer to anymore, for the coroner, for the sifter through the pockets of your perseverance, and this is the pain that starts again, for the overstaying of the welcoming and the prodding and the pulling and the stabbing of what you go out them on. The metal's a tiny stain of the shirt, squatting in the dust with the jagged edge of the stone, defending the kingdom for the gristle of the bone. In a devastating quiet defiance, it is the thunder, for the they carry the kingdom for the desert whirlwind, for the house of breath, for the here I am, for the founding and fracture of the ego. Offering a check at the strike of the world for the cowards, and for the devastating and quiet defiance, and subscribe to this piece in the stone with the iron, for the traced with the dust before the stones were cast as a blessing over the peacemakers. Whisper to the salt of the earth, for the naming the marriage of citizen over just now the lineage of God, for the peace that defies the logic of this war for the now. It's by the blade for the consumed by the echo for the own violence, and under the enemy is the ultimate subversion of your image. Master the oppressor for the philosophy, for the second mile, for the yielding of the cloak, for the radical refusal, for the defiant hatred, torch. Directed towards the self, we call the stillness and serve past the understanding that the world gives. Not a hollow ceasefire for the silence of the grave, for the shalom, for the strife of the veil, the back together for the sweat of the command was absolute, for the put your sword away, for the ears here, while the ears bound, for the distant march towards that wood, and not for the conquest of your dismantling of our architecture, for the death itself. The cross of the final syllables for the royal, for the justice, for the mercy kiss, for the principle, for the peace, for the absorb the friction of the cosmos, and the cell of grace. Use of the borders for the pace of faith to find the peace that's given to you, for the peace that begins for the interior temple, for the mustard seed, cracks the foundation of the empires, reminding you of the weary ultimate victory over your founding of the crushing of the foe, and the laying down of the life. It's important to give a brother's life, and give your life for the brother, to give love, scream for the shadow to build the walls and map your mind for the power, for the pouring in concrete in order you to line up and this is the beginning. Around the things that stare back at you, for they only stop to look at what is left for the only kind of drowning, for the love of the letter for your rest. Flowers outside of the pretty, for the never the long, the last, the fickle, the spring, for the summer, for the autumn, the disposal, the white tip, boy, the bloom. Tumbling now, but come soon. Even if your stride falters within the year, for it doesn't matter, for that you can have order ready for this speed into the passing of the torch of the hands, and now there knows who to hold it for the burning of the world down for the future, but no longer for the calculation. It is the mystery for the first time in a century, for the doubt is nothing to leave you with this. This is the world for the better without the snakes, and this is far to be at a place with it because you lived it. Stone in my heart, rattling sound, denting me inside of you, inside out, and carry it constantly. Even when I'm happy, to feel it pulling me down for almost humbling me to the ground for the nearly salt to the core of the earth when I think of my stone. Bewildering, and that's something gray without the edges of the character that can make you think twice about it, preserving your morals and secrets. What I tell you, my darkest shed light, moon covers in the night delays. And I'm tired of this active face, the pink and hopeful mouth, dry to find and full of dread and sorrow for have to live with your transgressions. And while you walked, you ran. And I'm beginning to think that no believing your selfish arms would be so tired to hold them. I'm so angry, gives me strength, and you know it not to be afraid. Because you don't stand a chance when the love and anger meet your apocalypse and your world becomes eclipse. Call, collect for love. I must express that every now and then a flashback to just a weekend. Now the weekend getting in the absence of empty for your mirror is a color for your dark to see another. He speaks to me in whispers. Now I hear the diss and make the chest hurt. He lies a hide on the wounded pride if this is gone. And now and alone for the absent is an empty to the side that makeshift home. But it all could be the poet of a pen. For this to be okay if you don't want. And not everybody has good taste. This is stunted for the instance of your satisfaction. For the food for instance. This is for the edible. Unworn, comfortable enough to be warm. The worms and where it belongs, including me for your sense of remind me of home. Undone. By the way, every difference you know exactly to blame. It was you that thought crazy enough and had it all along. Free. Need war, gore, this, neither guile, no regret, heart, purely, proudly, anxious to catch, kindly, kindred, pet, war, poet, you get this breeze, summer's day, follow sun, make friend, rivers run before day in, soft, newfound fellow, put your butter, flutter, yellow wings and yellow, father, warmer butter, you can watch it dive at the dip and take a drink for the floater with the freezer, wishing you're wandering ever higher, where dreams like sunbeams and never know it to retire, while wind with the wondering its way to swoon. Drifting down the plundering and pollinated fields of this a festoon for the running and grinning and the laughing crowds. And this is stunning and spinning and over the escape this laughs. And this is up upon a purple petal with the blessed second pulse of stealthy leave you sneakingly for the steadily over your patient whistle. This is softly gasping, gently chancing. Pretty now I'm out, drinking and dancing over the lifted breath. And this is onto your eager finger for the deaf of the fairy child. I be lip will linger. This is have no equal, no net. This is what the gift, just really giving what you get. Need to go and get, but sometimes letting go. But this is free for the better, better for the love and the nature never most often met. And I don't line up for the wisdom with the land, but the spilling of the waterfall for the body gave it away for the peace and place and place and peace. And this is smaller moving up and knee. This is the ankle for your book that you can find the energy for the day, for the head, for the end. And this will be the bedside rest. The machine is quiet now, vast oscillating engines in conflict, the economy for the blood that we fuel with our own marrow. It's been dismantled piece by the jagged piece, and this is not for the liquid and solitude, for this is solid dust of the mirror to your frantic friction within the mechanism. Thinking we were the grease of the laver for the only heated pawns of this lock in the cycle of reclusive sin. We sought to interpret the ghost silence in the humper to in the debris for the cage of the iron for the silicone. An anomaly for the inheritance and the life, for that you could be that ground granted for the one thing that all of us at the forfeit for the altar over the icon. A second chance to step out for the foxhole of your history, for to now see a battlefield for map to this world that we dreamed of, for the world to be changed and not left to be. You have the freedom to walk beneath the sky, for the don't require the mission objective for to justify its color, for to see it clearly. A spirit finally thoughts pacing and never successor for the title that was wait for the carrot but never earned. The rating just only had one to understand, for this understood the legacy without the blueprint, for the power, for the testament, for the preservation of life, for the even if your lungs before the season to run turn. Happens to empty bottles, aging slow, cheating the system, thought got somewhere, but there's nowhere to go. Towards the distant, aging slow, but seems to reset, but how much I want to scare but never get. That things you saved is completely different from the versions of the narrative. This place of your doorstep waiting for your come inside. This is the conversation of every moment to despair. And the good parts and strange nights of missed call. This is not a squawk that never gets old. Look at yourself. This is different words for popular servants. This is the sign of times and don't know how a fake flag is. But it's invisible for the societal awareness. When now we're manipulated from these types of people, insecure, the weak, for this to dictate the voices that we squeak, projecting their own foolish plight onto your path and this impose the might. Never win, narcissistic and selfish and frail. This is speakable tales, this is often fail. To boost their egos and then now they boast and fragile with the cowardly they close. And this is the best to ignore. Empty cries for your wisdom lies beyond their lies, and this is insecure. Weak-minded, they may be your strength, and this is yours to set free. But the other people, this is never be. But if the hypocrites, nothing hypocrisy, the hip-hop, but be hypocrisy and over the deep and words and resound. And this is where the sounds and trust. And the hypocrite, and this is guilt is profound. To take your trust and took your peace. And this is cruel hand to your pain won't cease. Strangle me and never beat this over. The other scars were from the rape of time that cannot console. Threats and lies just to help me type of darkness in your extinguish the life of your stolen strength. And then a pen and paper, and then darkness extinguished, light stole strength, stole voice in deceit, no choice now. World knows name, injustice burns, lasting flame. Cowards hide, truth will find, evil deeds haunt mine. God sees your heart, your darkened core, injustice with forevermore. This is facing truth, courage, rise, for in the end, truth will prize. This world will know, will see cowards face truth, set free, name any, run to him, hope to see his rotten body. This is not the further for the freight, and this is not the beneath the ripple over the float that remains of a ship. You can feel the every spice of the metal you can stow. You would never know, but the sunken below, for the gaze that ripple the face of the deep, of the darkness beneath, for the immense of the void, for the swallowing all that this is ready to swallow me whole. And this is then the to the iridescent dancing in the deep darkness of the growing, and until the beneath the surface of the enormous singing, and highest and lowest of the pitches and flow coming over the sliding song and fountain erupts. This is carrying me deep into the beneath. This is transforming itself into the deep. Architecture of text. This is the notification now for the rectangle of a casting pale reflection. You live a purpose and you was pissed off. This not the smell, the stench of war. Concern for you to do.